Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our first webinar series for Atlas. My name is Luke Holbrook. I am the Chief Operating Officer for Enable My Team. And today I'm going to be walking you through navigating the world of point cloud management. So we're doing these series of webinars to go into a bit more detail as to what Atlas can provide. So many of you watching will have heard of Atlas for different capabilities. It's our web-based platform. Each webinar that we'll do on a monthly basis is going to go through either a different feature set or a different application within a different industry. So today we're starting with point clouds. We're going to be recording this so that it'll be accessible afterwards and it'll be posted directly into LinkedIn. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. This presentation should last around 15 minutes. So we've got about 15 minutes at the end to answer any questions as well. Or I'll put up our details at the end of this webinar as well. So feel free to drop us an email or get in touch if you wanted to hear any more details. So just a quick overview for those who don't know who we are. Enable My Team, or EMT, we're an engineering technology company. So we solve infrastructure problems. So we work directly with our clients and we try and solve big issues. But what we've developed in doing this is our product Atlas. And we're now expanding Atlas to make it accessible not just to these major infrastructure projects that you see on the screen here, but to any size products and projects. Everything that you see today that I'm going to be walking through is accessible through our open API. This is one of our core beliefs, is that all of the data within the platform needs to be interoperable. People need to be able to connect with other systems, and the data which is belonging to you as a client should be accessible. We're not going to lock it in at any point. So Atlas at its core is a data federation platform. So we've got lots of different data sets that can be consumed. So as mentioned, today we're going to be focusing on the point cloud data. So this could be coming from a variety of different LiDAR-based tools. It could be vehicle mounted, it could be drone, it could be terrestrial, or it could even be generated through photogrammetry. And we're going to talk through some of the tool sets within Atlas that allows you to manage these point clouds. So Atlas is a web-based application. So all you need to do is create an account and then you'll be able to log in from any web browser. This makes it really powerful, especially when we're talking about the likes of point clouds, which traditionally are extremely large files and difficult to manage, and often restricted to teams who have access to powerful BIM computing. We're going to change that, and we're going to make this accessible directly on the web so that you can stream your point clouds, and anyone within your team who needs access can get access. So there's three core components to when we're looking at point clouds. So the first is the management of the point clouds themselves. Point clouds can be extremely large files. So these can be really difficult to not only store, but also to distribute. If you want your team to be able to view this really vital data set, we first need to make it accessible. And we can handle all of that directly within the Atlas platform. You can either upload directly into Atlas, or we can integrate in to a previous repository. So if you've already got them stored in a cloud-based system, we can connect directly into that and stream that into our platform. The next is the processing. So again, these clouds can be extremely data intensive. So the way that we manage those and make it optimized for a web-based platform is we can automatically chunk that into smaller sections. Similarly, if you have lots of small little point clouds, we can start to combine these. And we optimize these into web-based tiles. There's additional processing we can then do on the data itself, things like AI feature extraction or bespoke workflows, depending on what your industry is. And we'll go into a few of those today. And then some future webinars will go really specific into some industry-focused workflows. And the final step is the visualization. So again, by having them on this web-based platform, it means that your users can access data which previously is restricted to small teams. This could be your project team, or it could even be sharing them with your supply chain or up to your additional clients. It means that these data sets now become a real core part of the project, and you can start to overlap them with other data sets that you may be using on a day-to-day basis, such as 3D models, GIS data, asset information, for example. And that also leans into another of our core focuses, which is collaboration. The point clouds are now accessible to people. Within the tools of Atlas, you'll be able to leave comments, take measurements, save views, and it becomes a real data set that can be accessed and shared around the team. So a number of videos to go through some of the core capabilities. So firstly, point cloud navigation. So there's a couple of different ways to access the point cloud. You can either access it through more of a file-based system, as is a traditional manner, and you can load up a specific point cloud. Once you're within the point cloud, we'll automatically render it and optimize it for the web. So it will load different levels of detail as you move around this point cloud. We have your basic navigation tools in terms of zooming, panning, rotating, etc. And you'll see as we zoom in, we load with a higher granularity. You can change your point size, and there's a number of different styling options as well, and you'll see a few of those as we go through the videos. In this case, this is just a standard black and white point cloud. For projects that work in a more linear fashion, what we automatically do, once we've chunked those point clouds, we will stream those together. So you won't need to access it on a file by file process. So in this video, you can see that we're zooming in on our GIS layer. You can see all of these blue polygons. These represent the boundaries of all of the various point cloud scans. We can access the point cloud at any position and it will load the relevant file. It will then start to stream, and again, it will load on that level of detail. And as you navigate along, it will automatically load the next point cloud. You don't need to know which file comes next. You don't need to exit the point cloud and come back in. This makes it seamless for traversing however long your project is, and that can load hundreds of kilometers if needed. And because we're intelligently unloading the information as we pass by, it means that we can continue to stream. It won't cap out or reach a limit. You can upload any amount of information that you wish. Regardless of where your data sets are coming from, they can all get federated onto this platform. So previously you just saw a train mounted LiDAR. This one that's loading now is a drone LiDAR. Again, slightly different file types, but we can support all of the major file types: PTS, LAS, recap, etc. We can ingest all of those. So again, you can see the outline as to where the point cloud is captured, and then we can enter into the point cloud to view the details. And because all of these point clouds are coordinated, you can then overlay them on your GIS layers as well. If it is uncoordinated, we can also support that. That's not an issue. In this case, you can see this is an RGB LiDAR, and we can also style it based on intensity, elevation. So within the point clouds themselves, a really powerful feature is to be able to share this. One of the benefits of it being web-based is that anyone can access this. So when you're within your point cloud within Atlas, there's a number of basic tools. So as well as things like leaving measurements and whatnot, you can also take sections directly within here. So if I go on this sectioning tool and then click on a point, it will automatically create a cube around that centroid. We can then do basic manipulation in terms of rotating it. We can move the faces in and out, and we can create this cropped selection of point cloud. And then once we've got our crop selection, this is where we can then share this. So we can either download it locally, so that will allow you to do additional processing or upload it into another tool, or we can save it as a viewpoint. So here I'm going to actually create a camera view, and that saves it within the project environment. You simply give it a camera view name, hit create, and now that will be saved as a viewpoint. Now from that viewpoint, if we go into the camera views, I can actually share this with another user within the platform. So if I click on the share button, I can simply start to type an email address and share that. That user will now get a notification via email. All they'll need to do is click on the link and they will be taken directly to this viewpoint with all the cropping and the styling already applied. And you can also use these locally as well. So if you're somewhere else within the model or point cloud, you can click on zoom to and it will take you directly back to that point. So as well as sharing, you may wish to add additional information. So we also support commenting directly on the point clouds. So here you'll see a pin against specific points with comments. You can zoom into these and see all of the comments in the area. Again, these comments can be shared directly to specific users. You can share those views, and they even have a built-in workflow as well. So if you wanted to respond to a comment and then close out a comment as well, once you're satisfied with the response. This becomes really powerful when we start to combine it with other data sets, which we won't be going into during this webinar. But when you start to overlay your point clouds comparing to your 3D models, and then leaving feedback through the commenting tool. Now, depending on what your use cases are, we can do some more advanced processing. So in this case, this is our feature extraction. This is where we're automatically recognizing specific objects within the 3D point cloud and classifying them and clustering them. So you'll see this one is in a railway setting, and we can automatically detect things like the rails, signs, signals, vegetation, platform, and lots of other asset classes. And you can see here on the left-hand side that they've been clustered. And they can be toggled on and off simply as layers. Now, this is done automatically. This is trained through our AI models. Users can also do this directly within the platform. So they'll be able to go in and create their own features. So they'll be able to segment out specific assets that they see. So this is quite a powerful feature because this means that if there's a brand new asset class that you want to start training, you can actually do this directly within the tool itself. Alternatively, you can use this as a different option to the cube-based sectioning that you saw earlier. If it's a slightly more complex shape, then you can use this polygon tool. Again, we gain additional benefits when we start to combine data. So again, this will be a topic of a future webinar. But you can see in this screenshot here, we've taken our classified point cloud. And then because we've recognized a signal, we can start to link that to that same signal in other data sets. So here we have a front-facing video, we may have a document, we may have asset information. All of that can be tied together through that golden thread. Once you've got your point clouds and you've done your feature extraction, you can then do even more advanced processing and start to set up some automated workflows. So again, I'm not going to go into these in much detail today because they're going to be the feature of the next webinar next month, which is all focused around rail AI. So if you're interested in the railway environment, then please tag along next month and we'll go into these in a lot more detail. But things like automatically extracting your track center line or automatically calculating your clear line of sight distances for signal sighting, all of this can be fully automated because we're streaming and processing the point clouds. We're classifying and using AI to detect different asset classes, and then we're setting up these rules based on that. So we're launching this series of webinars to tie in with the release of our free tier of Atlas. So not everything that has been talked about today or in future webinars will be accessible straight off the bat in the free tier. But the free tier is accessible now. So if you wanted to sign up, scan this QR code. It'll take you to a link to our website. That will give you access for 3 users to be able to upload point clouds up to 500 million points. Your 3 users will be able to collaborate. You'll be able to take measurement, share views, etc. And you can even get a sample of our AI feature extraction within that as well. And then over the coming months, we're going to continue to put more capability within that free tier. And of course, if there are more advanced features that you require, please feel free to speak to us afterwards. So we've made today's webinar quite short. We wanted just to give a little sample as to one of the data sets that can be viewed within Atlas. Here's a list of some of the future webinars that are coming up. Of course, if there are points of interest, please feel free to reach out and we'll make sure that they are covered in a future webinar. These are just a few samples which will be coming up throughout the rest of this year. So as I mentioned, the next webinar is this time next month. So it's on Tuesday, the 26th. So please tag along. It will be all focused around feature extraction and the additional capabilities of Rail AI. So thank you very much for listening. That was our first webinar. So it's now going to enter the Q&A section. So if you've got any questions, please feel free, drop them straight in the chat. We'll give it a few minutes. I can see there's a couple in there already. So I'll answer some of these now. Okay, so there's a question which is, can you talk about any built-in reporting capabilities? So Atlas has that open REST API that I mentioned at the very beginning. This API not only is used for our integration purposes, so accessing, downloading, pushing and pulling data, etc., but it's also used for reporting. So we have an embedded direct built-in Power BI integration within Atlas, and that will allow users to create their own dashboards. We've got like custom exports as well. So depending on what industry you're in, for example, for rail, we have the EU links export, and we can generate reports around that as well. But in general, we allow users to build their own custom dashboards. The next question is, can Atlas be deployed on a client's own cloud environment? The short answer is yes. So Atlas is hosted through Microsoft Azure. So by default, it is deployed on our EMT cloud, our Azure EMT cloud. We're ISO 27001 certified. However, if you wanted Atlas to be deployed on your client's Azure cloud, that is also fine. It's currently only supported assuming that you also use Microsoft Azure. But yes, we're happy to either host it ourselves or on the client's cloud. Next question is, can Atlas integrate with Enterprise GIS? So yes, as well as the kind of the GIS layer that you saw directly within the Atlas tool, we can also connect in with enterprise solutions. So such as Esri's ArcGIS, we have a native kind of direct integration with their tool. So we can push and pull data between those two systems. And again, we've got our open APIs. So generally, if there's a third-party system which has APIs, we'll be able to connect to it and connect that GIS information. Another question here is, can I train my own AI data in Atlas? So yes, certainly. So depending on what the feature sets are that you require, we already have a back catalogue of specific assets, a large number in the railway environment, and then some in highways and buildings. So depending on what that is, we may already have that data set. If there is a new class, then you can certainly train that as well. Or even if you wanted just to continue to enhance and refine exactly what is being classified, then you can do that. So up till now, it's always been trained on our side from the EMT side. But there's a new feature which is just being released, which utilizes the cropping function that you saw in one of those videos. Users will be able to go in, chunk and classify their own assets, and we can even then feed that back into a machine learning loop so that in the future, if that asset comes up again in a point cloud, it will automatically detect it. So you can start to use that to build up your own AI-based libraries. Are there any more questions? That's all the ones in the chat so far. I'll give it a minute. Okay, I don't think there are any more questions. So if you think of any questions afterwards, our email address is on the screen there. It's help@enablemyteam.com. Feel free to reach out to us or connect to any of us on LinkedIn. If you want to see a more detailed demo, or if there's a specific topic that you want to see in more detail, then again, let us know. If you don't want to wait for the next webinar, we can set up a specific session. Okay, that's great. So thank you all very much for your time this afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks.